Hey fellow babies, welcome to this week's edition of Pach-Attack. Okay, we have a question from Twitter from @RyKnight36, or is it RI-Knight? Which do you think? RyKnight, I'm thinking. Do you think Microsoft or Sony will budge with plans to release their systems early when the Wii U drops? No chance. I think both Microsoft and Sony are dismissing Nintendo as a threat next generation. I think Nintendo made a conscious decision to roll the Wii U out with really not state-of-the-art technology. So the Wii U, although it's probably more powerful than the current gen consoles, it's probably less powerful than the next gen consoles from Microsoft and Sony. And I think that Microsoft and Sony just aren't concerned about Nintendo at all. I think that they're going to trudge along. I think that they consider this a two-horse race. They both have largely abandoned the casual gamer, and I think the casual gamer is migrating to free-to-play social or mobile games. And I think that Nintendo is going to be slugging it out for the hardcore. And there are hardcore fans of each of the three consoles. Primarily, that's based upon first-party content. Nintendo has the best first-party content, so Nintendo's going to do really well with its core base, but I think that attracting third-party content is really the differentiator, and I think that Nintendo's going to struggle if Microsoft and Sony continue to do what they've done in this past cycle. The Wii didn't get that much third-party content, and I'm not sure that the Wii U will continue to get it unless it's a phenomenal success. So, nope, I don't think anybody budges. I think you see a PS4 in the fall of 2013 and an Xbox 720 sometime between October 1st, 2013 and March 31st, 2014, but both of them a year after or more when the Wii U launches. All right, this next question comes from Jerry316. Mr. Pachter, what is your view of OnLive filing for bankruptcy? It looked like a great working project. What is going on behind the scenes, in your opinion, please? You know, I think that OnLive was built to be an enterprise software solution, so a cloud solution for more than just games. I think that the founder, Steve Perlman, wanted to prove out how fast the response time was of his cloud solution, and he wanted to do so in a way that showed off probably the most graphically intense and data intense type of activity. So he came up with games as proof of concept, and it worked. It worked really, really well. The delay was about 30 milliseconds, which is pretty small, and 31 thousandths of a second, so pretty small. So if you look at the founders of OnLive and the strategic partners, you have guys in there like Autodesk, which clearly has nothing to do with games, AT&T, which clearly has nothing to do with games, Time Warner, absolutely nothing to do with games. And what you've got from these type of guys is a clear signal that they were thinking about something other than games as a potential for OnLive. I think in AT&T's case, it was probably UVerse, that they would, OnLive could be your TV receiver, and you wouldn't need anything but an internet connection. You get your TV over the internet, and it would obviously work. I think with Time Warner, it was video on demand. They were going to let you get movies and pay-per-view. I think with Autodesk, who sells like $70,000 software suites for computer-assisted design, they were hoping that they wouldn't have any piracy. If you guys go look up the case that said that made people worried about used games being allowed to be sold in digital form, not the EU case, but the US case, it was a guy who sold a PC, and there was a version of Autodesk software on the PC, and Autodesk successfully sued, saying that that was an end-user license. It was not a purchase of the actual software itself. So it wasn't able to be transferred. But Autodesk doesn't even want to get into that because they knew about that. They don't want people buying their software and then giving it away or selling it to somebody else. So one way to control that is deliver it through the cloud. So again, I think that OnLive had a really smart plan for how to roll out the business. I think the proof of concept as a gaming service, as a cloud gaming service, proves that they could do all sorts of fast twitch two-way interactivity. I think that the reason they went bankrupt is they were overly ambitious in how fast they built out and what they planned to get in terms of numbers of users. And I think the reason they were not able to attract that many users is content. I mean, they just did not get a lot of frontline new games. I think that the most current stuff they got was from THQ, who needed any outlet it could, you know, to sell its games. But zero content from Activision and relatively old content, 1 year old from Take-Two, even more from Electronic Arts. So you just weren't getting a lot of frontline games, and it really didn't make a lot of sense to people to subscribe to OnLive if they couldn't get anything that was current. So I think that they built the service and they staffed up, planning for, you know, 2 to 10 times as many users. When they realized that their overhead was burying them, they had to reduce the amount of headcount. The most expedient way to do that was, you know, this ABC bankruptcy, assignment for the benefit of creditors, and they just restructured, essentially laid everybody off, hired back apparently about half of them. Still don't have any details on, you know, whether they paid the other people who were severed, and I feel real bad because a lot of people lost their jobs. I think everybody overlooks that, you know, all the money that went into this was really out of Steve Perlman's pocket. He's a phenomenally successful guy. He's a crazy, intelligent, just inventor. The guy invented QuickTime for Apple. He went on and invented Web TV and sold it to Microsoft. He's come up with some kind of facial recognition technology. He's got a patent on a new cellular technology. He invented this OnLive cloud service. I mean, the guy is really something. He poured his heart and soul into it, and, you know, maybe he didn't make the best management decisions, but, you know, I feel bad for him. He's now not involved in the business. I think he continues to own the rights to the technology, and I think you're going to see cloud delivery of things like secure banking and, you know, things like that, where you won't hear about a laptop that's left in a Starbucks with 3 million credit card numbers on it, because nobody will have access to the numbers. They'll only be able to access the service through the cloud. Everything will be secure on a server, and servers don't get left in Starbucks. So I think ultimately that's where we're headed with all application software, but we're just not there yet. All right, fellow babies, that's it for this week's edition of Pach-Attack. If you have questions, please direct them to the link below. And if you'd like to ask me a question on Twitter, please send them to @MichaelPachter on Twitter and copy @RohanLikesPants, because Rohan likes pants. All right. Coffee break. Another question from Twitter from @Nords. What is a day of work in the life of M. Pachter like? Well, gosh, today's going to be a pretty good day. I actually slept in today. I set the alarm for 3:50 because I was in Reno over the weekend. Not a place I recommend you go on vacation, but anyway, we were there. Some Harley convention, 70,000 bikes. It was actually pretty cool. I got up at 3:50, slept in, listened to our 4:40 a.m. morning call. That's when all the research analysts like me, there's 20 of us here, talked to the sales force, and I decided to do it from the car because I didn't have anything to say today. Normally I'm here. So I rolled into the office about 5, right about when the call ended. Shooting the Pach-Attack, it's about 7:35. That's why it's so dim outside. I've already done a CNBC interview. I got up this morning, and aside from just playing games, as Rohan always busts me when I come in here, I had to go read a bunch of stuff. I had about 600 emails to get through, and I cleared out my email yesterday at 4 p.m., so that's how many I get overnight. I'm going to talk to clients all day today. I'll probably do 20 calls today. I've got to travel later in the week, so I've got to start getting ready for that. So I'll probably get out of here at about 5 or 6. I will get home an hour later, so I'll get home at 6 or 7. Dinner with the family. Probably tonight, since I don't have earnings or anything, I'm going to catch up on the X Factor because I love Brittany, as I'm sure all of you guys do too. She's actually pretty good on that show. And then hit the pillows by about 9:30, and then tomorrow I get to get up at 3:20 because I don't get to sleep in tomorrow. So 6 hours of sleep for me. about 12 hours of work. Now during an earnings season, I covered 19 stocks. They report each 4 times a year, so I've got to do, what is that, 76 earnings a year. I've got to be here typically about a half an hour earlier. I have to stay typically about 2 hours later, but that's fortunately only 76 days out of the 250 work days of the year, so it's not that bad. And then I get to work usually every weekend for 4 or 5 hours because I publish a lot of notes. You guys have heard of notes. I publish these things, and they're average about 5 or 6 pages. Anyway, I do these things about, I don't know, I do probably 6 a week. So we write 2 every weekend. So I always have my associates finish everything by Friday afternoon so they can have the weekend off. I write all the notes on the weekends, and then we publish them Monday morning, and I have to talk about them Monday morning. That's my typical work day. I travel 60 nights a year on business, so I have lots of miles, and I've got lots of hotel frequent stay benefits, and I know my way through an airport. That's my job. Thanks for asking.